like push, dude, because it gets kind of like stressful from here. With fucking Bruce Willis, he has to kill him, dude, because it's just like, fuck, like, who do you feel bad for at this point? You know what I mean? Once people like get to this part of the movie, it's like, it's all like kind of even right now. Because obviously we don't want Sid to die. We obviously don't want young Joe to die, but we can kind of, I don't know how you feel about old Joe. Like, he doesn't need to die either, but it's already, his future's already done. And I think that's that point where between the two Joes, the older one stayed being selfish, dude. Like, I get it, he lost his wife, but she's gone already, dude. Like, what else are you gonna do? Like, he keeps trying to persuade young Joe to be just exactly like him, you know what I mean?
Yeah, where he's like, you know, he brings him basically all of the silver in this van, and you know, they share words, and at the cane fields, and he's like, look, I took out everybody, nobody's going to be looking for you, you can live out the rest of your life, no 30 years, nothing, like, just go and do you know what I mean? And at this time, young Joe is like, no, like, you're here to kill Sid, and I can't let you do that, you know. And he starts firing on him, and then older Joe is confused, and he's like, what the fuck is your problem? And then that's when Kid Blue kind of distracts young Joe, and then we get older Joe goes after Sarah and Sid, and he's like on a warpath, and is ultimately willing to kill Sarah to get to Sid, you know, to kill this kind of who he believes is going to grow up to be the Rainmaker. But then you know, we see young Joe have a premonition of the near future, where he sees that older Joe is going to kill Sarah and lose Sid in the cane fields and not be able to find him and give up, which ultimately, you know, once he loses Sarah, he has no guidance. He becomes a transient, just like young Joe, and it becomes like this endless loop. And then he's, you know, older Joe has unknowingly created the monster that is the Rainmaker by killing Sarah. So when young Joe witnesses what's going to happen, he decides to kill himself. Which then takes older Joe, you know, he no longer exists, so he disappears into thin air, and he basically closes his loop and saves Sarah and Sid, hopefully creating an alternate timeline in the future where the rain, you know, he never turns into the Rainmaker because he has his mom, and
right.
You know,
that's the hope that young Joe had, is that if I do this, maybe, possibly in the future, this won't happen again, dude. Because you guys could think about it, like, what do you think he could have just shot Joe? Young Joe could have just shot his hand off. I mean, that's a lot of blood loss, but like, what do you think that would have stopped it? Because I think older Joe, there's nothing that's going to stop him, dude. Besides his young self, like, nothing else could stop him, dude. He fucking ran through those monsters. Pretty insane, pretty diehardy, dude, man. I
think it was more so that he was young Joe knew he was too far away, and that he was, you know, he wasn't going to get there in time. So then he was quick on his feet. Here's the ultimate solution, the ultimate sacrifice, and basically redeems all of his selfish ways, you know. And taking his own life so that this, you know, the family that he cares about so much can live on and be happy. And I don't know if you remember, but then Sarah finds the overturned truck with all the silver. So now they're wealthy, and
he's not a transient.
Yeah, totally fine.
Yeah, it's like a perfect ending, dude. It's like, How can you do better than that, right? Like, this movie did.
I remember one of my friends, he told me, yeah, I really liked it, but I thought the ending was anticlimactic. And I was like, what? Like, like, I couldn't write a better ending if I wanted to. Like, I think that that's what makes sense, you know what I mean? Or
you probably just wanted another 3 hours of movie or something. I don't know. Sorry. I don't know. That's offensive.
No, it's okay. It's all right. Don't worry.
I think he might just wanted, like, the classic, like, the good guy wins and gets the girl and, like, lives happily thereafter type of scenario.
Yeah.
I think that's why this movie hits harder. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I'll just say, and he got the total opposite, or not the total opposite, but, you know, the good guy did win, but the only way he was going to win was, you know, taking himself off of the table, basically, or off of the, you know, off the board. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what that when I saw that part, dude, I was like, "Fuck, really? Like, damn, like, it makes sense, but it's just like to myself. Like, if I was to do that to myself, you know what I mean? It's just that I don't know if anyone It's very hard to suicide or like do that to yourself, dude. And the way he did it, it was just like, and he has a fucking blunderbuss. So that's a lot of pain and and anguish. So
dude,
it's just
yeah,
like,
he fucking cocks that up to himself like so sick, dude. That was such a good kill.
To himself.
Yeah, like the way he flips it up, like the way they shot that was just like, yeah. And then what his inner monologue when he's like, I saw it all come to be, so I stopped it. And boom. Like,
yeah, dude, if Sid, that Sid doesn't look up to fucking young Joe, dude, that's going to be like, there's no stopping the Rainmaker, dude. If somehow, like, I don't know, man, like, the thing is, this movie, it doesn't let you know that if Sid would be a good kid or not.
Well,
like,
you have to think about the kind of all of the hints that they drop where, you know, Sarah is aware of Looper's existing, Sid is kind of aware, and if old Joe had killed his mom, he's gonna obviously hate Joe for forever, and that makes sense in the future why he's like, fuck that, we're gonna close all the loops, we're gonna kill all these fucking loopers, fuck that, you know what I mean? Like, it all makes it makes sense in the story narrative that's why he became homicidal, because he then, you know, I guess has those memories of a looper murdering his mom, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he wants to take that, like, thought away from him. Like, yeah,
it's like it's like the ultimate vengeance. Like, I'm just gonna murder all these fools. You know what I mean? So by him stopping that, I feel like that's like you said, it was his hope to change the timeline, and they get to live. You know, Sarah and Sid get to live happily ever after. Essentially,
rewrite a better future.
Yes,
and it sucks. I understand, like, Bruce Willis was only a villain because of his the events that led up to, you know, up to his wife. You know, he essentially, I think he was a good person towards the end of his life, but because of what transpired and, you know, his wife getting killed, that turned him into that, you know, do anything at any cost to get his wife back, and that made him essentially the villain.
Yeah. Especially since I think his wife she admitted to being pregnant or something like that, or she wanted to have kids, and that probably was the thing that made his mind like flip. Like, yeah, I can probably do that and be a good person. You know what I mean? I can turn away from this mob life, and, you know, I think that was his turning point. But it took 30 years. In Young Joe's life, it was right then. Oh, I don't know what age he was. What age? Like around his 20s or something, right there. So it happened much earlier. Like, something good for him to change his life, and that sucks. That, I think, for me, it sucks that he had to take his life because of his future self. Which, to me, it still makes Bruce Willis the villain, and like you said, he's the villain, dude.
Oh yeah.
But we could all blame the mobbers, dude. If some way they could have, like, got rid of all those dudes. I mean, he did. but there was no stopping Joe. So it's like, fuck, dude. Like, everything just became fuck, dude. And the final conclusion, maybe a little anticlimactic, but I think there's just no possible way. Like, there's no other way. Especially with Rainmaker's power, dude. I kind of would love to see what he really did to all the fucking, or how, like, what that power, what happened. We could only get a glimpse of what happens through, I guess, older Joe and what he knows. So it's like, damn. There's a lot of things to explore in this film, I think, that they could have done. Maybe that's probably why some people were like, yeah, this and that. But it did enough for me, and it gets high praise, you know? So it's like, what else? What else do you want, people? Imagine. Like,
to go back real quick to what James was saying about how Bruce Willis's old Joe is, yeah, he is the villain, but when he does, like, when he goes to kill one of the kids who he suspects could be the Rainmaker, because they both tear the map apart, so they go opposite ways. And after he murders that kid, you can see that he feels like he made a mistake. Like, that he's made a mistake. And
didn't he throw up or something? Didn't he, like?
He starts crying on the side of a building, and it's just like a somber moment. But I feel like that's in there to show you that there is still like a moral compass there, and he's just kind of throwing all the rules out the window because his wife was murdered. So then he just goes on this crazy warpath. But like Joe says at the end, it's just an endless loop of bad shit happening. So then he realized he was ultimately the problem was him, and so closing his own loop. It's almost like you can't outrun your fate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a way,
that butterfly effect is like something you can't end unless you end it yourself. Like, it's just like, fuck. I've seen this kind of in like a lot of video games and movies and stuff, but some of them are like hard hitting. So it's like, man, kind of feel a little bummed out. Maybe that's what your friend was like. He was a little bummed out that they did it like that. But we can all agree that was still a good ending. Do we have any Swan facts to go with on top of this episode? Yeah.
I have a handful. If you guys want to hear them.
Yeah, that's good.
Swan facts. All right, Swan facts. The budget for this film was $30 million, and it went on to gross over $176 million. Not bad for an underdog rated R sci-fi flick.
Nice.
The film is largely set in the year 2044. We talked about that. Before casting an older actor for the character of Joe, the director, Rian Johnson, had considered using JGL in both roles. However, Joseph himself found it important for another actor to step in, even offering the idea of prosthetics to change his appearance.
Very nice. I did notice in the film, like, how different JGL looked, dude. I was just like, is that even JGL?
Yeah, he looks. It's like uncanny. It's almost like like creepy. You know what I mean? Because you're looking at him and you can't, like, I can't see him underneath or anything. It's just like, whoa, like
it looks like him, but it's not him. But it's like but that is in your head. You're like, but that is him, but it doesn't look like him at all. And you hear his voice, and it is him, but like total mindfuck.
Yeah, even what they did with like his 5 o'clock shadow and stuff, they just made it look like Bruce. Like that's the subtleties in this is just crazy. The diner in the film, which features the character of Beatrix, and sets the stage for what might be the most memorable moment of the film. When the two Joes meet for the first time, that set was actually built just for the production. It's not an existing restaurant at all.
Oh,
that's cool.
Almost all of the film's effects are achieved practically, and that means even the telekinesis stuff is all practically done.
Wow.
So did they use like magnetic or like magnets or something?
Yeah, and then for the floating, they're on rigs. It's not like green screen or